I wouldn't say best in slot, but like I don't know. I guess in my mind, it's like something about like when to change up, like situational changes, basically, right? Like I'm not technically, I'm actually specifically not using a best in slot setup for things, but I'm basically having like a base build, right? Like your as standard as it gets, 3-piece Providence build. I'm using that as like a base, and then depending on the situation, changing things from that to fit the situation. So like situational, building or hot swapping or whatever. So like there's
it's sort of like making a best in slot, but with the limited pieces that you may or may not have. So
yeah,
making
sort of.
the most of what you've got, kind of. Loosely.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know. I mean, so each area I try to like show my build so that you have like a clip of like what I'm using. But it's like this one, I'm literally just using 3-piece Providence, Fenris, Fox's Knees. I can't remember if I'm using Dash City or Coyotes. I think I was using Coyotes. So basically, just using my main weapons. Not using Regulus here. Just like as kind of a standard setup would. So like
yeah.
So there's just a standard setup. You can have 3-piece Prov, Coyotes, Fox's Knees, Contractors.
Fenris, Grupo. Yeah, whatever
exactly.
you're able to fit in.
Yeah, basically I'm setting up as standard as like the most commonly recommended build, basically, and kind of just running this, doing general ad clear. Which like this setup works absolutely fine, right? Like that's why it's recommended. It's recommended for a reason.
Yeah.
Just
obviously there are things you can potentially change, but like there's like it's almost like a gold standard.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like this is when people ask for a raid build, like this is the basic one people start with generally. It's not going to do anything super fancy or anything, but it's going to kill ads quickly, and that's really useful.
Yep.
No building up of anything. You just go. Shoot and kill.
Awesome. So the idea behind what it is you're running, or I suppose you could say that the idea behind like those standard builds, would you argue that like honestly just going like DPS would be typically the way to go, or like all 8 players here running DPS, or could you have 7 players running DPS and a healer? I did notice at one point people will have like over armor, so is that like someone running Vanguard?
Someone's running Vanguard, but this is just some random LFG. I have no idea why someone's running Vanguard. You don't normally have someone running Vanguard here, but for whatever reason someone was. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but like it's not bad. Like we cleared it just fine. So for this one, I think I ran the same build. I think this is just me sort of going through what I was wearing, showing the crit chance and all that. Basically that I'm at. Was I at 50 or was I at 60?
60.
Yeah. So
judging by UI, you don't have Coyotes up, so 60 natural.
Yeah. So I personally really, it's super commonly recommended to get like 50% crit chance, and like just don't bother going higher. I personally, and honestly ends up coming down to personal preference, but like I like just hitting natural 60, especially like I have crit damage everywhere I can. The only thing I can change that extra crit chance for is some headshot, which to me isn't going to change much at all, or handling, which I honestly think is more placebo than anything, especially at low amounts, and on like an AR build. So I would rather just have the crit chance, and I know that I always have that max crit chance. I'm at the cap. Like there will be times when you don't have that mid buff, so like assuming you always have the mid buff isn't necessarily a good assumption to have.
Yeah, I'm with you. I typically either run. Weirdly, I tend to go I try and stick myself between 55 and 60. I find that to be sort of like my comfort zone.
Yeah. Exactly.
But when it comes to like, because I see a lot of people say like, the ratio of like crit chance versus crit damage, always try and have like a 1-2 ratio. So if you're at 10 crit chance, have 20 crit damage, or 40 crit chance, 80 crit damage. I personally, from the testing I've done, find this kind of bogus. I would rather just say try and get to 60 crit chance as quick as possible, and well, around there. If you're a little bit less, no no harm, no foul. But try and get to 60 and then just put the rest that you're comfortable with into crit damage. This typically does lend to higher DPS rates, particularly for lower level players.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And like, it depends on your build, right? And like your SHD as well. Like, say if a striker's build and you have no crit chance on your watch because your shade level is super low, right? Like, you're probably not going to be able to get over 120% crit hit damage and 60 crit hit chance on that build. So, but you might have 50% crit chance and 100 crit damage, and so that sort of balance ends up working out really well.
Yeah.
So here I'm switching to a much more headshot focused version of essentially the same build. And so I'm going to do a prep shot on A. So basically I've got Dodge City, Holster, Regulus. I'm going to Achilles Pulse. Literally everything's headshot focused here. So I'm just trying to, because of the way the Achilles Pulse works, and Dodge City, you're basically applying headshot damage multiple times to the build, or to that shot. So like, what's going to matter is how much does that first shot land for, and it's all going to come down to there. Because if I hit it, well, I believe I hit over 100 here. That's not the ideal spot to shoot, but yeah. So a non-crit hit for 104 million there. So I just nearly killed Dizzy. With a crit, you can literally one tap him with the right buffs. But yeah, it's honestly ideal not even to one tap them because you want to get that second switch, which it looks like we didn't do on this run. But oh well.
Well, still, you did like 104. Was that 104 mil?
Yeah, that was 104 million with the setup.
Can't really argue with that.
Yeah.
Typically, when the groups I do this with, I put on a tank build and I just sit there and just cuddle him. Everyone else deals with him.
That one went quick. I think that one was... I don't know what that one was. That one was another high one, though.
I'm seeing 300 mil and 115 mil.
Yeah, but I mean, I just saw my Regulus hit for 6 million, and that was a uncharged Dead City shot. There was 104. Yeah, I don't know if I went and looked at my second, because I basically got 2 charged shots. You know, one on the first one and one on Weasel.
Fair one. Now you do the cheeky wipe. Wait for the new player to come along and give you a cuddle and revive you.
I'm specifically wiping here because Corpse has directives on. So we have the fragile armor. So I'm like missing a chunk of my armor. So wiping is the way to reset that. Because the fucking fragile armor directive is bugged and can't medkit to get rid of the fucker. So now I've got all my armor back. So I think... Okay, so this is the stretch where I was fucking recording another raid and it crashed right before I wanted to take the shot on the upstairs ads. So this is basically, I'm running Dodge City, Unbreakable. Basically, again, going back to that first standard build, but instead of Coyote's Mask, I'm running Dodge City Holster. So my Regulus is way stronger. This isn't a Headhunter build, so I can't like use my Regulus as the main weapon. It's sort of like a utility weapon. So if I know an ad spawn's coming, like a group of ads, I can pull out that pistol at the right time and instantly clear an entire set of ads. So while everyone else clears like the main ads in this first floor and someone runs in the elevator to get keys, I just kind of quickly foam those initial ads, let people clear them out quickly, avoid trying to run in front of people shooting, and then I'm just going to run upstairs and then clear the first couple with my main gun. Kill him. Someone's helpfully Scorpioing so that if I'm even slightly slow on my regular shot, they'll be staggered, which is fun. They pop open, boom, dead. So just clearing it. Scorpio. Yeah. Gotta love the helpful teammate Scorpio trying to mess you up there. But so yeah, even with Unbreakable, I'm literally able to one tap an entire group of ads, including a dog, and just in one shot kill literally all of them coming out of the door.
Is the scaling for Dark Owls and Nine Horse like the same? Like, do the ads have pretty much the same health?
Yeah, they're all pretty much the same. So like in Iron Horse as well, you can with Unbreakable, and this is also a crit build too. This is not like a headshot focused build. This is like literally your standard build with crit and everything. No headshot on there, other than the like one piece prov, and Dodge City obviously. Dodge City is just doing all the work. Dodge City Regulus, that combo is super strong. So here I'm putting on Focus. The ideal build would be 4-piece strikers with Focus, but this I'm kind of trying to run this as sort of an example of like it's still a high-end setup. So I'm basically just running the standard crit high-end setup with Focus, and I'm just gonna focus these down with doing, you know, quite a bit of damage. And this is, I believe I'm using a Famas with fast hands here.
Sacrilege.
Yeah, I think we actually,
max.
I think, so this is a super experienced group. I'm pretty sure we wipe here because we're idiots. So just charging up the focus while they come out. And I've got my shield on this build, literally just a shield peeker on this corner.
Yeah.
So I'm basically shield peeking around that pillar, and that allows me to shoot at them while Lucy spins as well, which is super handy. There we go. It takes 10 seconds like it's supposed to.
Unless you do the one shot.
Yeah. Then it takes like 2.
Then for the most fun boss in this game, I hate Razorback. Like, I just find it so dull. And I'm always amazed about how many times I have to tell people, unless you're going into the circles, just don't go into the circles. Don't go anywhere near the middle. Everyone run around the outside. The moment I say that, little Timmy, right through the middle. It's just like, oh my god.
People say that, and for obvious reason, right? Because you don't want to have someone run into the circles early and like start the fight before people are ready. But people will also take that like super literally, and like in the middle of the fight will like, oh, I'm sorry, I went in the circle, and like they just ran through it briefly or like touched it, and it's like, no, that only applies to the start. Like once the fight actually starts, you can, you know, brush up against the circle. Very helpful teammate there.
I'm actually a firm believer of everyone in this area run Dod City holster, just because it comes in handy so many times.
Yeah,
like,
so this
the
build,
chungers just Dod City holster them in the butt. Done.
So this setup is specifically set up around the Ravenous. So the Ravenous, because it's an exotic, right? You can't set up your mod slots the way you exactly want it, which means its base crit chance is lower. So I'm basically swapping out some crit damage for running one-piece Seska. And that allows me to have max crit chance on this setup. And the Ravenous stacks do crit, so it's going to show one final number. But say you have 20 total stacks, right? Like your max stacks for the Ravenous is 20.
Yeah.
Each of those 20 is going to decide individually if they're going to crit or not.
Yeah, that's why you will get a range of 21 different numbers between 0 and all 20 critting.
Exactly.
I've told so many people this, but nobody believes me.
Yes. I've got a whole chart because I did the whole fucking thing.
I didn't have that level of patience. I went through till I found essentially what was 0 crits or close to 0 crits, and then went through again until I found what was essentially going to be as close to 20 crits. And when, because of this difference in damage, we can now calculate this as this being this amount of damage with this amount of crits, and then this one with this amount of crits. Ravenous with the explosions does crit. People being like, no, it doesn't. Oh, go away.
Yeah. So the Ravenous also, it just perfectly works out on the setup that like, so I just know kind of on reds I do like 3 shots, and then a three right, 1 left will finish off a red right away, and then doing 5 right, 1 left will take out a yellow. So like I just know that offhand. So like literally it takes me 6 shots of the Ravenous to finish off any elite, and same with dogs too. So the Ravenous on Razorback specifically is just ridiculously good, because obviously I'm like one-tapping weak points, and that's the main reason people use the Ravenous. But the way the scaling works out, So like, boom, dead. Like I don't even glance at him. I know as soon as I hit that left shot, he's dead.
All right, Mr. Confident. Jesus, I thought I put way too much time into my Ravenous testing. Jesus Christ.
It's good. Ravenous is so good.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite weapons.
Yeah, it just everyone uses it here for that the one tapping of the weak points, but it's equally as powerful for egg clear.
Oh yeah. Like,
so
like, even with like a prime example is the new manhunt mission. Like one of the easiest ways to actually just get through that is Ravenous, surprisingly.
Yeah.
It just does so much damage, especially to things like robotics, the explosions. I mean, it's not going to make you the absolute tankiest thing in the world, but the bonus armor is just an absolute great utility skill. The amplified damage against armor platings is, I personally feel, very underrated. I think one of my favorite setups to actually do is like it's a 2 blue build, but it utilizes Ravenous, and I use it in Legendary, and literally my only job is go for the chungers. Like I won't shoot anything else. I just stand there and wait for the chungers, and the moment the chungers appear, I start on the left side and then just do 5, 1, 5, 6, 6, 6, and you just chew through chungers. It's just amazing. It's just quite fun. You build up. You have to annoyingly build up two left shoulder stacks just so that you can survive the chunga. But after that, it's just pure damage, and you start like you end up doing like near enough like 2.5, near enough 3 mil damage a shot, let alone the explosions going off, which is just nuts.
This is a hot tip for anyone who's a teammate, and if you see someone switch to an Achilles pulse, they're probably one tapping this. But if your teammate's super friendly and they start shooting this thing, they'll take your Achilles mark and you can't one tap it. Very minor thing, but
I actually learned this from Rise because I see him do this quite a few times. He'd Achilles it because there's only one mark, isn't there? So you can't exactly not get the mark. I'd always wait because I used to take it from him, and he'd be like, "Dude, you got to stop doing that." And I was like, "What? Why? I don't get it." It's quite new to raids at the time, and he went, "Okay, next time we do this, right, you and I are going to pair up, but you're not going to shoot anything at the end." And just one tapped it, and I was like, "Cool, message received."
Yep.
Oh look, my favourite weapon.
But yeah, that's sub 20 dark hours.
Just a casual.
LFG. Yeah, just literally casual. Like that's with a wipe too. We're sub 20 with a wipe.